Yo, is Acorns worth using whenever you can technically invest with other services that don't cost you a monthly fee? What are we getting with Acorns that we're not getting somewhere else? Today we'll go over all the features of Acorns, how much it costs, where you can duplicate those same features elsewhere potentially for less money, and finally determine if it's worth it or not. And Acorns is rolling out all new names for these accounts starting today. So what used to be called the personal tier is now called Bronze. What used to be called Personal Plus is now called Silver, and what was Premium is now Gold. They really should have rolled this out like 2 months ago, right before the Olympics, and we could have been like gangbusters, but maybe there's some kind of like intellectual property or copyright issue if they'd have done that. You don't want to mess with the Olympic Committee. Yo, I'm Brendan. I've been using and reviewing over a dozen investment and personal finance apps and services for the last 5 years. I've been investing for the last 15 years, and my wife and I are on track to retire 15 years earlier than average. Enough about me. Let's talk about Acorns. What are we getting by paying for this service? Well, first off, you have an option to pay between $3 and $12 per month, depending on the features and services that you want to opt into. You don't have to necessarily pay for the maximum if you just want a more basic experience. I think for the average person, you don't need the middle or the high-end plan. The basic plan, the $3 per month, is going to give you everything that the average person needs. The real building blocks for a decent financial life are banking and investing. And with this $3 per month plan, you get a brokerage account, so you can do any kind of investing you want without really any limits. You also get a retirement account, so you can pick a kind of IRA, jump into that. And not only that, you get some banking features. So you can do their real-time roundup feature wherever they round up a little bit for you and you invest a little bit extra without it costing you any kind of emotional or physical pain because it's just an automatic thing. You get their debit card, you get their checking account, and technically you get the earning and learning features too, but I don't really love those as much as the other ones, so we'll kind of skip over those for now. But for the average person, that's largely what you want and need. But over and above that, what you're getting with all tiers of Acorns is simplicity, an automatic investing service that does a lot of the work for you, excellent design, and a good reputation. The simplicity and design make it easy for you to invest, and especially if you're a beginner, that's a pretty crucial thing because if you're scared away by your own investing service, you're not going to use it. You're not going to invest any money, and then you're not going to grow your net worth. You're not going to be able to retire. You're not going to be financially free. So that's a pretty critical problem, even though it seems like kind of a frou-frou, nothing preference of mine. I actually think it's critical to the mission of being able to invest well. And then the fact that it's automatic is also huge because I think for a lot of people, having to get in and choose your investments every single time you deposit money is prohibitive. It means that you've got to make that decision every single time. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you forget what that thing was that you read that one time or that video you watched and you thought, I'm going to invest that way. But having to remember the proportion of that every single time you invest and develop some kind of portfolio for yourself, it's kind of annoying. It's a lot of work. So the fact that Acorns does that automatically for you, the portfolio that you get from them is chosen based on a few questions that you answer whenever you sign up for it, and then they just invest it for you. The portfolio is fixed, it's chosen for you, it's all done outside of your hands, so you don't have to make that decision. And then finally, they've got a good reputation. They're not some fly-by-night company. They're not some sketchy thing that you found in some bot comments on a social media platform. They've been around for a while. They're reputable. The question is, isn't that duplicatable somewhere else? Why do we need to use Acorns? Why do we need to pay $3 per month to get these features? I mean, you're not exactly wrong. You can get a brokerage account from any number of investing services. Vanguard, Fidelity, Robinhood, WeBull, Fennel, Interactive Brokers, Ally. I mean, throw a dart at a list of financial institutions and you can probably open a brokerage account there that probably doesn't have a monthly fee associated with it. And the same thing goes for the IRA. There are so many platforms that offer you an IRA without a monthly cost associated with it. So what we're really paying for here with Acorns has got to just be the design and the ease of use. Also, of course, the banking features you should be able to find somewhere else too. You can go to a credit union or a big bank or wherever and say, hey, I want a checking account. Can I please have a debit card? And of course, they're going to say yes. But what about the next two tiers of Acorns? Is it worth paying $6 or $12 per month to get these added features? Let's go over that now. Well, as of today, the middle tier gives you the same investing features that the base tier does, but it sprinkles a little bit extra on top. It gives you on your retirement accounts a 1% match on any of your contributions. And so that means if I put in $100 a month, Acorns is going to put in $1 on top of that. Just a little extra for me, just an incentive for me to keep doing that. And then also your banking features get a little bit supercharged because you go from standard kind of boring banking to Mighty Oak Banking. You get a cooler looking debit card, which doesn't really help us at all, but you also get access to the emergency fund, which is kind of a separate savings account, and that gives you 5% APY on your uninvested cash, at least for right now. If the Fed changes rates anytime in the future from when this video is posted, that will be different. But also your checking account then gets 3% APY as of right now until the Fed changes rates. So the fact that now your cash is going from doing nothing for you, completely sat stagnant and not earning you money, to actually earning you a decent return, that's pretty good value add. And you can do that math. $6 per month equals $72 per year. If the cash that you would hold in here would give you more than $72 per year, it basically pays for itself, or at least that's been my rationale lately. And then of course the earning and learning features are the same as they were in the base tier. So now the question is, can you duplicate those features elsewhere? What other services can you use that give you a similar kind of ROI? Well, right off the top of my head, I know that both Robinhood and WeBull give you an IRA and they give you a match on that IRA contribution. With WeBull, if memory serves me correct, they don't even charge you a monthly fee to do that. With Robinhood, they do. You've got to pay $5 a month for Robinhood Gold. A limitation that you have though with Robinhood is part of that design and part of that structure that you get with Acorns. They give you this portfolio builder. They put that on their website and they say, wow, this is going to be so great. Look, we'll build you a portfolio. It's a one-time custom recommended portfolio. And they say right here in the fine print, recommendations are one time only. Why the hell do they not give you a recommended portfolio that then can last, that you can just keep tapping back into and invest in that same proportion? Acorns does this, M1 Finance does this, so many other companies do this, and Robinhood just has this glaring issue that they don't. It's so strange to me. But again, the mix is a little bit different because something like M1 Finance gives you the option for an IRA. You don't have to necessarily have a monthly fee associated as long as you have over $10,000 in your account, so you don't get hit with that monthly fee. And that's across all of M1. It's not just your IRA. So in all of M1, you got more than 10 grand, you're not paying anything. You get all the premium features for free, if you will, but they don't do any kind of match. And so if you want everything to be apples to apples, they've got a minimum balance requirement, but no match. Other companies have a match, no minimum balance requirements, but they don't have a portfolio builder. This is why claiming something like the best investing app is such a subjective and difficult thing to say, because who is it best for? What are your priorities when it comes to investing and what do you need in a service? It's different than somebody else. They care about different things than you. So you've really got to prioritize what exactly your deal breakers are. It's like a relationship. What are my deal breakers? What kind of problems can I live with? How much can I forgive these shortcomings so that I get the things that I've got to have? And speaking of what you got to have, let's talk about Acorns' highest possible premium tier, $12 per month. Is it worth this? So this amazing Acorns Gold tier has more features than any of the other ones. The investing accounts are the same, but they've got more benefits. So with your Acorns Later, your retirement account, your IRA, that actually gets a 3% match instead of a 1% match. Then you also have the option to have a customized portfolio where you can add individual stocks in a bit of a proportion. They won't let you do your whole account that way. You can just kind of intermingle in a little bit of the flavor of individual stocks if you want to. And then you can also open an investment account for kids. So this unlocks all the features that Acorns has. The banking features are the same as that middle tier, the silver tier. The earn features are the same. The learning features are pretty much the same. I mean, technically you get educational courses unlocked, but in my experience, they've not been very impressive. But then you also get an additional feature for kids. So if you've got kids that are old enough to potentially have a debit card themselves, to go out and use it and to want to track exactly where they're spending, to be able to actually have a system in place to give them money for doing chores and things like that, Acorns has partnered with GoHenry, which is like this dedicated service that does that, to give you a free GoHenry account. So our kids are too young to do that, but when you actually have kids that are old enough to take advantage of that, I think it'd be really cool. I would like to have a little bit more control over that, and I have a dedicated video all about the features of GoHenry if you want to watch that after this video. But also in this gold tier, this $12 per month, you're getting even more benefits. So you're getting a $10,000 life insurance policy for eligible customers. I'm sure if you're terminally ill, unfortunately, they probably aren't going to issue that to you, but for a lot of people, I would think that this could be a good benefit for you. Then you also get a no-cost will that's valued at $259. I actually started doing this for my wife and I. I meant to make that like a dedicated video and say, hey, is this worth it? You know, what benefit is this to your life? Is it good to have a will? What happens if you don't have a will? Like what happens to your belongings and stuff like that? I know it's a little bit of a morbid subject, but it's important. And I kind of stalled at the point where we have to make a bunch of decisions like, okay, if this happens, then what happens over there? And if that happens, then what happens over here? And you know, you really can't get around that when you're doing something like estate planning. You've got to make the decisions that you want to make with your life and your money even after you've passed. And so we still have to go over that form, but I can say right now, to go from 0 to setting it up, it actually wasn't very hard. The process to fill out information online wasn't that hard. You and your partner just have to be on the same page to make those decisions and lay out those things and then be done with it. So then how does Acorns Gold compete with some of these other investing brokerages online? Can you get a 3% IRA match elsewhere? Yes, obviously with Robinhood. We already mentioned that. Robinhood's also only $5 per month to get Robinhood Gold where you get that 3% match. Also, if I remember correctly, WeBull had an offer where you get a 3% match on any new contributions. But what I see now, oh no, it's still there. They were advertising more about a transfer offer, but it says, we'll add 3.5% for all transfers and 3.5% for all new contributions. So WeBull's actually giving you even a bigger boost than either are, and they don't charge a fee. Like by the numbers, by the pure specs, WeBull is crushing these other two. Now I went over in another video in depth the fine print of comparing the WeBull IRA to the Robinhood IRA. And the difference is really where you get the money and when you get the money, because Robinhood gives it to you all up front. They give you like a big lump. And so that money is growing for you right off the bat. You have it. It's pretty cool to like to see it there and see it verified. With WeBull, the payments are kind of doled out over time, over a longer period of time, and so you have to pick what you're more okay with. I ended up picking the Robinhood one because nothing else was out yet, but even in hindsight, I probably would have still picked that one. And so as far as the retirement account, Acorns is pretty well matched by both of those. An investing account for kids isn't explicitly available from what I can see on either of those other two platforms. You could obviously open something like a custodial account at Vanguard or Fidelity or a whole bunch of other platforms, and so that's not really that unique of a feature either. And then obviously at most other platforms, they give you way more control over what you're actually investing in than Acorns does. The simplicity that Acorns gives you by locking down your portfolio and saying, we're going to invest for you, is also a limiting factor because somebody like Robinhood or WeBull or Vanguard will let you pick whatever you want. So if you know you want individual stocks, Acorns probably isn't the best place for you because the number of stocks you can pick from is limited. The amount of your portfolio that can be individual stocks is limited. Now, is that the best thing for us long term? History would probably say no, but I'm not here to tell you how to invest your own money. But I think there's one critical factor here, one feature that a lot of people are looking for that they might not be able to easily replicate in other investing services, and that's having a set portfolio and sticking to it over time. Obviously, M1 Finance does that with their pies. Acorns does that with their portfolios, but it's harder to do somewhere like Robinhood because it's up to you to keep those proportions right. I also don't think WeBull does this. I know they have a Robo advisor, and so if you opt into using their Robo advisor service, then they'll let you pick a portfolio and regularly invest in that. And whenever you look at their website, it looks really similar to something like an Acorns. Whenever they first start up with you, they basically ask you a few questions to say, hey, what's your goal in doing this? Do you want to build wealth? Do you want to plan for retirement? Do you want to save for a down payment or emergencies? Or what's your goal in investing? You answer a few questions as far as what your risk assessment is. You send some money into the account, and then it kind of does the rest for you. And so it sets all that up for you, and you can have that repeatable portfolio that stays in the proportions that you want, but it's not free forever. You got to scroll down to the FAQ page and see that any accounts that are opened before June 22nd, 2024 get a 6-month free period. But anything that's opened now, and for apparently the rest of all time, the free period is 3 months. Then after that, you get an annual rate charge of 0.2%. So it's not a massive charge, it's not awful, but an asset under management fee has the potential to end up being way more money than a flat fee like Acorns. That's partially why I continue to enjoy Acorns and recommend it, is the flat fee will only ever be what it is. You could have $1 million in there and you're still only paying $12 a month. That's a very minimal amount of your overall account, where WeBull is ensuring that with this asset under management fee, they're always going to get 0.2%. You could have $100 billion in there and be Jeff Bezos. They're still going to get a crazy amount of money from you because of that asset under management fee. And is it going to completely wreck your returns in your portfolio and your life and your finances? No. It's not a big enough fee to steal away your results in that way. But in general, I think we're probably wiser to steer away from asset under management fees and lean more towards flat fees if we can. If you love the Smart Advisor and if you love the features it gives, and if you have to have it, then by all means, do what you want to do. But it's weirdly tricky to find an investing service that lets you open an IRA, that gives you a match, that builds a portfolio for you or allows you to build a portfolio and continually invest in the same amounts of money, or if you want to, customize it on top of that. That's an extremely rare thing. And yet I feel like that's what most of us want. We probably want to have a set strategy, keep doing that over and over for a long time. And it's very rare. I mean, as of right now, the only one I know without a shadow of a doubt that does that is Acorns. I'm not as familiar with the standard operating procedure of something like Fidelity. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Let me look it up and see. Yeah, from what I see on their website, they do allow recurring investments. We use Fidelity now. It's where my wife's 401k is, but we don't have an IRA through them or some kind of self-directed account. It's all just a 401k. So it's a little bit different to go through like the company portal than to go through Fidelity's actual website. But they say that you can create and manage your recurring investments and transfers all in one place. There's no cost to do it. And then you can keep investing over and over in kind of the same mix. But to get all those factors together, including the match, it's not there. I could be wrong on this, but I think Acorns is the only company that gives you that specific feature. Having a portfolio you can invest in over and over in an IRA that gives you a 3% match, it's unmatched. But I would say that the banking side is largely matched. I mean, something like a 5% high yield savings account is not hard to find in this day and age. The 3% APY on checking is actually pretty rare. I mean, that's like the highest checking account APY I've ever heard of. And so that's pretty cool. And so if you're like us and you actually keep a decent amount of money in your checking account, that could be cool to be earning interest on it all the time. I kind of wish that we had everything going through this now that I think about it, because we could be earning 3% on it. But you've got to be willing to transfer a bunch of stuff over to Acorns and use that as your kind of banking hub to take advantage of it. And if the Fed lowers rates, this rate's probably going to go down too. So you kind of have to weigh those options for you. But I do think that's a unique feature that, again, Acorns has that nobody else has. The earnings section, I think, is not beneficial enough for us to really speak on. The learning section is okay. Getting a free GoHenry account is pretty cool, and getting $10,000 in life insurance and a no-cost will is also pretty cool. I don't see those kind of features advertised really anywhere else. Fidelity does have a youth account, and so it's a teen-owned brokerage. That's got some pretty cool features, but what I don't see is a kid's debit card there. So I think you'd have to find another service to either get your kid a debit card like GoHenry or like Greenlight or something else, and then have the separate investing plan that's theirs to invest money. And so again, all these different services have a bit of the features of Acorns kind of smattered across them, but for you to put together all the features in Acorns and have all those things, you'd probably have to have many, many different accounts using a bunch of different services. So now we have to answer the big looming question. Is it good value? Is Acorns worth paying between $3 and $12 per month for? Or should we go somewhere else and get it for free or get it for cheaper? I have several different thoughts on this. Number one, the fact that it's still a flat fee and not an asset under management fee is a big plus for me. The potential to grow long-term wealth here and never be charged an exorbitant amount is huge. They could very easily switch to a 0.1%, 0.3% kind of fee. A lot of people wouldn't really do that math effectively. Acorns would probably make a lot more money and we wouldn't be the wiser unless you're a nerd about it like me and you, in which case we know that that's not the best thing for us. But the fact to keep it flat right there, it's already probably a pretty decent value. But the next factor to consider is that if you're intimidated by investing, and what I mean by investing specifically is choosing the kind of account you're going to use, setting that up, picking the exact investments you're going to use every single time you invest money. When you're going to send in your $150 a month or whatever you're doing, if you get freaked out by having to pick the exact things you're investing in, then Acorns is a massive value for you. Because if it's the difference between you investing and not investing, it's life-changing how beneficial this is. It's the best $6 or $12 per month you could ever spend. Skip the coffee, skip the burrito, skip saving for the race car. Okay, maybe we'll think about the burritos and race cars thing. Maybe we'll skip something else. We'll keep the burritos and race cars. We'll skip whatever else it takes. Don't wear socks. Yeah, skip socks and get Acorns then in that case. It's so vital that we're investing because there's nobody else taking care of us financially. We don't have a government or a system set up through our work that's going to save us. I don't think we can depend on Social Security for a full-time income when millennials and Gen Z people are going to retire. So for me, we'll call that something like 25 years from now, when I'm traditional retirement age and I have the option to opt into Social Security, it's not going to be able to be a full-time income. It isn't for people now. It's not going to be any healthier in the future. That's just my opinion, my prediction. Could be wrong there, but that's how I legitimately feel about it. So we have to take care of ourselves. Likewise with work, you probably don't work somewhere with a pension. No one is setting up your retirement for you. No one's going to hand you a gold watch and a handshake and a big fat pat on the back and a slice of cake whenever it's time for you to retire and you can just sail off into the sunset with your pension. That's not going to happen for 99% of us. We've got to set ourselves up. We have to give ourselves our own pension through something like an IRA. And that kind of realization is a lot of the reason why I make videos. I'm like, guys, if we don't do this, no one is going to do this. We are going to be totally sunk. There's no one looking out for us. We have to do it. And so when Acorns is providing you a kind of service that's just so turnkey, so easy to use, if that gets you over the hump and gets you investing, worth it. Totally worth it. They could even raise the price. It would still be worth it. But if you're more comfortable with investing, if you're more comfortable making your own decisions and figuring things out and doing some research and potentially living with the consequences then of it being your own decision that you went, oh, I shouldn't have invested in Tesla. That was a little scary. Or, oh man, no one thought Nvidia stock was going to plummet in 2025 after it did so well in 2024. And like, if you can live with that little bit more volatility and onus to your own decisions, then you have a world of other options that are probably just as useful for you and can save you a little bit of money every month. I mean, let's talk about the opportunity cost. I've got the gold tier plan, what used to be called premium, now it's called gold. I'm paying $12 per month. Actually, I think I'm grandfathered into $9 per month because I had it before they did the last price increase. And so I think I'm still at $9. So worst case, I'm spending $100 a year to use this investing service. And if it's helping out my life and giving me the value of $100 a year or more, boom, totally worth it. I guess what I'm trying to say is the opportunity cost isn't huge on any of these tiers. It's not like you're risking massive amounts of money to use the service and you'll really regret it if you end up trying it and not liking it or whatever. Like, we're talking about small amounts of money here. It's a much bigger, riskier proposition if you use something like a professional financial advisor person who charges you 1 or 2% to manage all of your money. That is a huge risk. That is deteriorating your returns in a massive way. And so it's a very different discussion to talk about, should we use Acorns versus M1 Finance versus Robinhood versus WeBull versus Ally or Fidelity or Vanguard or whoever. Even a bad decision made within this circle of fairly reputable well-known, well-equipped brokerage investing companies, I don't think our FOMO needs to be super high. In the end, use whatever investing service works for you, jump on it, commit to it, invest as much as you can, as early as you can, and treat it kind of like exercise. That's the way I think about it. If you love swimming, then swim. If you love running, then run. Like, do whatever the thing is that you love that gets your body moving. Same thing when it comes to an investing brokerage. If you just love WeBull's interface for some reason and you think the features are good and it's cool that there's not a monthly fee and nothing else about it worries you, by all means, use that. So ultimately, you have to decide, is it a good value for you or not? If you think it is going to be a good value for you and you haven't signed up yet, please use my link. It doesn't cost you any extra money, but I get a kickback from Acorns because you watched this video and I was the last person that you interacted with before you jumped in and started it. They say, hey, this guy was useful to us. Let's give him a little bit of money, and it helps me a lot. This is my job. I'm supporting my family by doing this for you, and so it's a massive help for me. No work on your end. Everything's handled on my end, so thank you so much for doing that. And speaking of thanks, thank you to channel members for always supporting me monthly directly. They get early access to videos. They get members-only videos that no one else ever gets to see. They get some behind-the-scenes videos that's kind of like what it looks like to make this production happen. And whenever I get a few thousand comments every now and then on some crazy video that pops off, I can sort through and prioritize their comments and make sure I respond to them over and above any random person on the internet that's, yelling at me through their keyboard. So if you want to join and become a member, there should be a button right next to the subscribe button that says join. You also get some cool emojis that nobody else gets to use in the comments but channel members. So check that out if you want a little bit more from me. Otherwise, check out my newsletter that's totally for free that comes to your inbox probably about once a week or so. And if you watch a video like this and you think, I wish I didn't need to rely on a platform as much as I would need to rely on Acorns or WeBull's smart advisor person or a professional advisor. I wish I could understand this a little bit better. I've made an investing class for you to explain the basics. I'm not selling you an investing strategy. I'm not going to make any money off of anything you ever invest. This is purely educational, instructional, covering the basics of what it looks like to understand investing in a single afternoon. Instead of you watching videos and reading books and trying to figure this out for the next 2 years, you learn everything in a single afternoon. And I've had 184 students so far. My average rating is 4.7 stars out of 5. People seem to like the class and get good value out of it. So check that out if you want to learn more. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.